or don't know me, my name again is Ruby Lopez-Villarreal, as you mentioned, the new executive director of Livermore Downtown Inc. I'm so happy to be here for this meet and greet, and I can't express how thrilled I am in general to be back, to have my career back in my hometown that I love. As some of you may know, I was with Livermore Downtown Inc. about 15 years ago or so as the events coordinator and marketing director. And, I back then started our social media and everything. So, I went on to do other things in my career. I was a TV producer for the Livermore show as well before then, but, left to do other things in my career. And now I'm just really grateful to be back in this opportunity, continue this fabulous job that LDI has been doing to support our downtown businesses, really. And as someone who was raised in a small family-owned business myself, for over 30 years, and someone who also owned a business, I understand, firsthand the beauty and the struggles of being a small business owner. And so I'm excited to, bring my background and expertise to support our downtown core. And, this year we're really looking forward to, and I'm looking forward to, a year of joy. I feel like that's been my theme this year, just bringing back our community together downtown. And I think people are excited to be together again. And I know we're here on Zoom, obviously, but I think you can see it and you can feel it when you go downtown, that people are just happy to gather again. Our Livermore community is such a sense of pride and ownership in the downtown area, and it really is a hub. And I feel like I can probably speak for many of us when I say that downtown is a place where, we go to gather. It's where we celebrate moments. It's where, we take our kids for ice cream if they got a good grade or did good on their spelling test. People get engaged, celebrate anniversaries. And it's just, really an honor to be able to, work with and represent the downtown community now, because I feel like it's such a special place for us all. So I'm really happy about that. And, I've been so fortunate to be so well received by the board of directors and the city and the businesses. And, I'm looking forward to really continue to forge and develop, those strong relationships, positive working relationships with our city and all of our stakeholders as we move forward, with Livermore Downtown and all of Livermore together. We really do value our relationships with the city of Livermore and with all of, the stakeholders and all of you, because I think, those, as we all know, that's why we're here, because those relationships are really key and paramount to all of our success together. So, this year we're really looking forward to, making some big marketing pushes, continuing to highlight all of our wonderful businesses. When some people hear the word downtown, they may think restaurants or shopping, but we're so much more, as you all know. We're working hard to promote all of the businesses, professionals. We have professional industries such as, realtors, insurance folks. I'm sure some of them are here, medical, dental, chiropractic, banking, home services and health and wellness and beauty. And our goal is to promote and support all of them equally and to ensure, economic health and vitality for all. So if you're a downtown business, I urge you to become a downtown partner. We have so many wonderful benefits. It's just a small fee a year. And, we give so much support to all of our downtown businesses. I mentioned there's, lots of benefits, such as our social media, which has an active following of over 30,000. Some of you may have seen it a little more active, and also, our e-blasts that are really fun and vibrant and over 5,000 following and growing pretty quickly. So, we're making some big pushes to help to continue to promote our beautiful downtown. And, so if you're downtown, reach out to us. We're here for you. One of the reasons for our existence is to support and make sure that you're successful in your endeavors. And, if you're not in downtown, we would still love to hear from you. As I mentioned, relationships and supporting each other is how we are all going to grow together, and, really fostering these relationships are key. We have many opportunities for businesses outside of the core as well to get involved. You hear a lot of pushes for sponsorship, but that is one of the ways in which we can, get involved as well. We have our big Street Fest coming up on May 14th and 15th. So reach out to me, please, if you would like to hear a little bit more about that. But, really, better together, stronger together. As I mentioned, I was raised in a small family business, and we really focused on, working together with all of the people around us. And that's why the business is still going strong. Even 4 years after my family is retired, the business is thriving because it was set up on an infrastructure whose foundation relies, not just on, setting up for, business success, but also heavily on the support of patrons and, partnerships with a community that continues to support you long after, even when you're gone. So that's why, these networking meetings, the business is still there. They're retired, but the new owners are continuing to thrive because of those, relationships. So anyways, these networking meetings are, such a great opportunity to meet all of the other like-minded business owners who share the same goals. And, we want to work together with all of you towards them. So I'm looking forward to meeting you all. If you are downtown, please say hello. You'll see me running around. And I look forward to seeing you all downtown.
Great. Any questions for Ruby?
Ruby, I just had a question. Does Livermore Downtown Inc. still have a storefront downtown? I know it closed for a while.
We
do you have an office?
We have not a storefront, but yes, we do have an office. We're at the Carnegie Building. So please come over and say hello. We're on the J Street side at 2155 3rd. So yeah, we are there now, and we are, happy. We love when visitors come, we see them. And so, yeah.
Great. Could you put your contact information in the chat for us?
I sure will put my contact information. I will also drop a few links about becoming a business partner and the Street Fest and sponsorship opportunities.
Perfect. Thank you.
Excellent.
Well, I'm excited, Ruby. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome, welcome to the Livermore business community, to the Valley. The partnerships have been always very important, but especially important over the last 2 years, in which we really strengthened those bonds. So we really look forward to working together and supporting you and collectively with our other business organization partners going forward. And if you could just very quickly, because we know the Street Fest is your big marquee event, so we're excited that it's back this year. Just a quick little rundown on some of the other events that you have on the schedule for 2022, just to kind of a teaser for everybody.
Yeah, sure. And we do have our schedule growing, and we hope to add more as, we start to move along through the year. And as people I think are excited. But yes, we have Street Fest. So we'll bring back the, the usual, the favorites. We have our Family First Night coming up. That will start in June. Obviously, the farmers market is the year round on Sunday, but the Thursday market will start April 14th. So very soon. And then we have, starting in June through September, we are bringing Family First Night back. It is the first Thursday of the month for Family First Night. So we have fun themed nights. We have Western Day, Science Day, the arts. We have a wild, like Animal Kingdom Day planned. So we have lots of fun themed events for the kids and the families. For Family First Night, which we are quickly filling up. And then we also have Thirsty Thursday, which is the third Thursday, as you probably know, at the farmers market, also June through September, also booking some entertainment, some local favorites for that as well. We are bringing back we have Holiday Village in the Park, Earlier Than the Bird, our Sights and Sound Parade, and really a lot of the favorites all coming back. And I'm sure I missed a few of them, but I can also put our events calendar in the link for you. But if there's anybody who would like to get involved, we love working together. And I'm seeing all the faces here that I'm meeting. And if I haven't met you in person yet, I'm looking forward to meeting you. But thank you, Dawn, for allowing me the opportunity. And as you mentioned, the relationships I feel are just most important, because I think we all share the same goal, and we all just want to grow together. And so we are here, not just to support our downtown core, but also looking at the bigger goal as well. Yeah.
Ruby, Witches Night. Are the witches still in?
Oh yes, witches are definitely in. We can't go without that evening, and the fabulous hats and the fun evening. Yes, it's still, and I don't know if it's on our calendar yet. We have a small crew, as you know, of 2. We are bringing on a 3rd person next week, and a very nice young lady who's going to join our team just in time to get thrown into Street Fest. But yes, Witches Night will definitely be coming back.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruby.
Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
So Dawn, you're gonna have to tell me later what Witches Night is. I'm not super familiar with what that is. I'm like, is that a Livermore thing? I mean, I'm just like, I don't know what it is, but don't need to know right now.
Yes, it is a Livermore thing. And
Okay.
I'll give you the intel later.
Go get the VIP tour. It's Witches Night Out, and it's fabulous. So she'll help you prepare your big, fabulous hat and everything.
Get your costume ready.
That's
go.
right.
You're
I have a
witch.
hat you can
You're
borrow,
witch for the
Sharon.
night.
These little things we learn every day. Like I had no idea. Okay. All right. So thank you, Ruby. This is all the fun stuff happening at Livermore downtown. So we're going to go ahead and move on now to our own Michelle Dawson, Livermore Valley Joint Unified School District, and Craig Bueno, I think, is also on. And they're going to chat with us today about Measure A parcel tax renewal.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon, for the time today. And thank you to the Chamber for giving us this time to share some information about the current parcel tax and also the upcoming Measure A renewal and the significance and importance that it has for our students, our current students, our future students. And so as business and civic leaders in our community, we know that you are often asked for your perspective and insight when it comes to matters such as this. And so we just felt it was really important to share as much information with you as we can and answer any questions that you might have with regard to the measure. And so we'll get started. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, hopefully you can all see that.
Yep, you're good.
Okay. All right, so let me first start off by saying that, you know, we feel that, or we know that public education, quality public education, it plays such an important role in drawing people to our community, along with the diverse job opportunities that our community provides, strong home values. You know, quality public education is right up there with what attracts people to come and live here and be part of our Livermore community and helps us provide a really strong community to be a part of. And so the parcel tax is a way that we, excuse me, secure local funding. Sorry, let me take a sip here. That helps us to, you know, provide that kind of quality educational experience for our students. And so we're going on more than 18 years of having a parcel tax, the first approved in 2004. So it's been a continuous stream of funding for our schools for a really long time. And so our current measure is Measure G. And the tax rate with that, or the tax associated with that, is $138 per parcel. And it ends up equating to approximately $4 million per year in revenue for our schools. So homeowners 65 and over can qualify for an exemption. And we have an independent oversight committee that ensures that the funding that we have is used in the way that it was presented to the voters and used for the programs and services that we said we intended to use it for. This current measure, Measure G, is expiring. And so Measure A would look to renew that funding source moving forward. So what do we do with these funds currently? It primarily, the large majority of the funding helps our STEM programs in our schools. So our elementary science program, our students starting in first grade have the opportunity to engage in laboratory science, hands-on laboratory science with credentialed science teachers, which is huge because we know that science, with having 2 national laboratories, is super important to our community. And so this opportunity, starting from a very young age, is just something our community really values. And so our elementary science teachers are funded through the parcel tax. We also, at our secondary level, the electives, expanded elective opportunities in STEM are available to our students with parcel tax funding. And we also have our TK through 12 technology specialists that are funded out of the parcel tax. So I'm going to show you on the next slide kind of a pie chart that breaks down how that money is spent. And the reason those three are bolded is because they make up approximately 80% of the total dollars from the parcel tax. In addition, we also use some of the funding to keep class sizes small, for up-to-date curriculum and technology purposes, but the lion's share is used for STEM programs for students. And so here's that pie chart, just kind of breaks it down for you, and gives you a good idea of where the dollars go. So what that was kind of our current parcel tax and what that money is spent on. So what do you need to know about this upcoming measure? It's really just a renewal of the current measure is what we're looking for. So the current parcel tax, there's no increase. Measure A does not increase taxes. It would remain at $138 per parcel for 7 years. And it would maintain the approximately $28 million in important funding for our schools over the 7 years. The senior exemption would continue. In fact, if Measure A passes, anyone already receiving that exemption under Measure G would not have to reapply for that exemption. It would just be continued. And also low-income residents with disabilities can apply for an exemption as well. And just the continued oversight with an independent committee. Some of you on this call may have participated as a member of our parcel tax committee, oversight committee in the past. And, you know, going on 19 years, we've had a lot of community members participate in our oversight committee. So it's really just an extension or a renewal of the current parcel tax for Measure A. So it is a May 3rd special election. In fact, ballots, I believe you might find them in your mailbox today or this week for sure. You should be receiving your ballot. And some have asked why a May 3rd election? There is a June election. Just to provide some perspective to that, Ed Code requires that any positions that may not be fulfilled for the next school year receive preliminary layoff notices on March 15th and then secondary notices on May 15th. And because these programs are tied to teaching positions, especially at the elementary level, we have 27 positions, teaching positions that are actually paid for through our parcel tax funding. And so we felt that it was really important that we give some sense of security to our teaching staff. And hopefully with the measure passing on May 3rd, we could rescind any notices, layoff notices that would need to be given by May 15th. Were we to wait to the June election, those notices would have had to go out, potentially making us vulnerable to losing some of our high quality teachers with just the uncertainty that would come with that. So that was a huge factor in choosing the May 3rd special election. And then this requires a 66.7% of the vote in order to pass. So just a couple more commonly asked questions about the parcel tax. We often have people confuse the bond with a parcel tax. What's the difference? What do they fund? So I feel like this image really helped me to grasp when I was first learning about the differences here. A bond would pay for buildings and facilities. And so those funds, that's what that money is used for. Whereas a parcel tax pays for people and programs. And so the Measure J bond that was passed in 2016 provides that funding that helps us do those facility improvements. So I'm sure if you've driven around town, you have seen East Avenue and its whole new facade. And just what an amazing transformation that has been. in addition to the signature project over at Livermore High, which that with the huge gym, it's almost complete. And so those are the types of projects that are funded out of a bond, whereas the parcel tax helps us pay for our teachers and for academic programs, as mentioned before, with our science program and our STEM education for students. I also think it's important to let you know about a gap in funding that exists between us and some of our neighbors, which you may or may not be aware of. But Dublin and Pleasanton both receive more than $5 million each year in additional base funding than Livermore does. And it's called Economic Recovery Target Funding. And they receive this, it's kind of a complicated thing to try to explain, but basically when LCFF funding and base funding was established by the state, those districts that were already unified, if they were receiving additional funds over that base funding that was established, they were to be held harmless. And so that's what the ERT funding is really about. So it doesn't have to do anything with their enrollment or anything other than at the time that the state established this funding, they were receiving additional dollars, and the state continues to give them that funding moving forward. Unfortunately, Livermore doesn't receive that funding based on our time of unification. And so local funding, like the parcel tax, is a way in which we have been able to bridge that gap with funding. And so I think that's just an important point of difference, because sometimes we are compared to our neighbors and get the questions as to, well, why does Pleasanton not have a parcel tax? And if you'll, when you understand this funding model, that kind of helps to explain certain ways in which we try to make up that gap. So for additional information on our website, on our district website, there's all kinds of information about the current measure, including oversight committee reports, our senior exemption forms, just FAQs and information about how we spend those dollars. The pie chart that I shared with you is also available for folks to see and better understand. And that's on our website. For Measure A information, endorsements, FAQs, the website is there. Yes, for livermorestudents.org is where you can find out more information there. And then ballots, like I said earlier, they're mailed this week. Be on the lookout for them. They must be postmarked by May 3rd. But seeing as this is the only thing on the ballot, it should hopefully be something that we can all go home and open up our ballots, fill them out and get them in the mail early, so we don't forget to do that going forward. But that's just a little bit about the measure, about the current measure, about the upcoming measure. And I'll let Mr. Bueno say a few words from the campaign perspective on Measure A.
Good morning, everyone. For those I don't know, my name's Craig Bueno, and I'm in my 8th year on the school board here. And my wife and I have been here about 40 years in town, and we had 3 kids who went to a school district, and that's the rationale for me being on the board, is a give back to the community. And a coincidence of my kind of entry into the politics of the school district was chairing this Measure G in 2014, and that one went in place in 2015 when the previous one sunsetted out. So this is the 4th rendition, as Michelle mentioned. It does bring in that $4 million a year. And one of the things that a lot of folks don't know about the Livermore School District is that we have small class sizes at the foundational level from K through 3. So I think the number is 25 kid max. And when businesses asked for more critical thinking, when we were to address the concerns of increasing STEM education, largely driven by the fact that we have two prominent national laboratories. What we did is a lot of communities brought on STEM, but they sacrificed small class sizes, and we didn't. And so when this was first put in 2004, our community wanted both. They wanted to have the foundational support of small class sizes in addition to the increased STEM education, which we do with science specialists, and then extra curriculum all the way up through the high schools. So this was something that our community has always supported. Up until this most recent rendition, there hasn't even been an argument against it. It received broad community support. It's essential to meet the needs of what our community wants. And it's a little unfortunate. We have a couple of detractors in this instance. Some of that traction came from people kind of coming together over the unfortunateness of COVID and masks and things like that. So some of those, a couple of these detractors kind of found their way together with some folks who were less than happy with some of the safety requirements that were in place given the state. So what we would like to do is we need to do is get this reinstated. I would ask, this is a really prominent group. I've been a Business Alliance, so I appreciate the Chamber has given us the time. And I would ask today, anyone who can go to our website, Michelle Dawson put up, you guys will see it on the screen. And your endorsements and your support in that regard, we have broad support, but it can't be too broad. So this, the ballots have dropped, and what we would ask is that you guys put your names and your endorsements, any financial support, of course. I think we're doing pretty good in that regard. It's basically an information campaign to put out some signs and do some badges and stickers. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
And did you want to add anything to that?
Well, I just wanted to say that a vote for yes for Measure A just maintains what we're already doing. And what we're already doing is remarkably successful. You heard Michelle talk about our award-winning music students, spellers, the hundreds of students that participate in Science Odyssey every year. Our the Mendenhall History Day students basically swept all the awards of the Alameda County. Don't mess with success. We need this $4 million to keep everything as it is now. If we lose it, we'll have larger class sizes. It won't work. I one time asked another board member from another district, how big are your high school classes? 37, he said. In Livermore, class size is king. That never would do. We target 30 for a class, and that's it. And we support that extra with the parcel tax and support from our community. So don't mess with success. Yes, on Measure A.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions that we could answer?
Yeah, I have a quick question. A question for Michelle. You said that the Pleasanton and Dublin get this extra funding and Livermore doesn't because of time of unification. What
Yes.
does that mean? Were we unified early, late? What does that mean, please? Why aren't we eligible?
My understanding is that we were unified after the LCFF base funding was established. And because of that, we don't qualify. So, Anne, would you like to add to that?
Yes, I'd like to say Pleasanton and Dublin have always gotten more in my history. The unification took place a long time ago. And the law at the time that said that this district, the unified district, would have enough resources to pay both the highest salaries and the highest benefits of the collective districts. So if one district had high benefits and the other district has high salaries, they get money to pay for all of that. And so they did. one Pleasanton, or I don't remember which one took which, but one district took high benefits and one district took high salaries. And to put them together, they got more than we who had already unified. So they've gotten more forever. And then when LCFF came in, they continued to get more. That's just the lay of the land. And we smile and grin when we talk to Livermore, to Pleasanton and Dublin trustees about it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Looks like Ken and Michael both have questions.
Yes, I have a question. I notice on the 497s, they don't appear to be totally filled out. However, I haven't seen any parents contribute yet to this campaign, but I see businesses writing $10,000 checks. I'll go on your website and see if I can figure out what they think they're buying, because they're not local companies. And maybe on your website, there's information on who's paying for this ballot measure election. Somebody's financing it. Is that coming out of school funds, or is the county paying it, state paying it? Or...
No, the campaign is an independent campaign. So it's organized by volunteers. And you can go to the campaign website to see who has endorsed. And there's a long list of parents and community members that are part of that list. In addition to all of our parent teacher organizations are a part of that endorsement list. And then there are other community members and prominent members of the California legislature that are also in support of the measure.
But
So,
those people that have endorsed it haven't written checks.
many people who have endorsed have also contributed, but
They're not on the 497.
okay.
They could be small donations. Donations over I think it's the $100 threshold are usually registered. There might be a time lapse in that. But as my understanding, I'm not on this campaign this time, but from running this in 2014, a lot of those donations are small. They're $20, $50, $75 contributions, and they may not show up. And then there's also the lag in the reporting. But I do know that it's very broad-based. There's a lot of PTAs, PTOs, which is a means of a lot of the parents contributing. And those are our parent teacher associations and organizations throughout all of our 17 campuses. So it's received very broad-based. You are correct. There are some vendors and some local businesses that have contributed, but it's also received very overwhelming support and small contributions.
Thank you. Michael, did you have a question?
I did, thank you. My fingers crossed that you have no problem getting this passed by the voters. My question is actually related to the PTAs and in particular the special needs community. So what would be some of the talking points that I could use when I'm conversing with our constituents with Sunflower Hill that have children or adults that have IDD? And are they getting any of the funds? How is that important to them?
So I would say that, when we talk about small class sizes, that also is reflective in our special needs classrooms as well. And they are impacted by that funding also. And so that's an important piece to mention as well. Many of our special needs students are part of a push-in program in our classrooms and go and participate in all of the elementary science specialist education that is received by all students. And so they too are benefiting from this experience. and being able to go to a dedicated science teacher once a week and engage in science learning as well. You bet. Any other questions?
Michelle, quick question. How'd you decide on 7 years rather than some round number or even number like 4 or 8 or 10?
That's a good question. I'm not sure, President Bueno, if you want to take that one.
Sure. The first 2 renditions were for 5 years. And when we ran this, one of the questions we asked was, why don't we run it for a longer period or into perpetuity? And so when you ran a poll, 7 years was a sweet spot. And that seems a point of comfort with the community. And so this rendition is mirroring that 7 years.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor Warner?
Yeah, I'd point out, you don't want a round number, you want a prime number, right? So the other thing is, you mentioned the disparity in funding that's based on the date of unification. And of course, the quick question comes to my mind, why not ununify and then reunify and then make it even?
Oh, dear.
Actually, it's not just as simple, Mayor, as the date of unification. That is true. And then there was an attempt to rectify it. The superintendent, Dr. Bowers, went before the state and committee and was able to do what to close this gap probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And they were going to bring us to the average of ADA, average daily attendance funding, over a period of several years. What our surrounding districts did when the state made that correction to get our funding up, that's when the ERT was imposed. So it was kind of like a hold harmless, so that they received additional funding, essentially putting them back at the same gap. So the effort was there, and the ability to ununify and reunify does not appear to be a viable solution. The superintendent has checked on that, but it sounds like it's kind of a dynamic thing. We haven't given up, and we're continuing to try.
Okay, that was really the question. Are there other efforts underway to rectify the disparity? So thank you.
So Kim and Michelle, if there are no further questions, I just have some comments to make about this. So thank you to Michelle and to President Bueno and to Board Member White for your presentations today. Thank you very much. I seem to recall that there have been decades that the Livermore School District has been attempting to work with our state representatives. I remember going back all the way to Assembly Member Guy Houston's day, if not earlier, to try and rectify this difference in the school districts in the Tri-Valley region. We probably do, I don't know what the exact numbers are, but I would expect, since we are the largest city in the Tri-Valley, that we have the most students. So yes, it's unequal treatment, but thank you for continuing to track that and to work with the state to rectify that. We appreciate that. In terms of the parcel tax, this is the 4th renewal of an existing parcel tax. We consider this, I'm happy to hear that businesses are investing in the campaign, because this is part of our workforce development priority. So when we talk about workforce development, I think most of us think about adults and training them, or college students. But we recognize that that happens from the day that they're young enough to be educated. And with the 2 national laboratories in our community to invest in STEM programs for our students and to keep those class sizes down, it's a no-brainer. This is an investment that is something we will get a return on investment. So we support this, and indeed, the Chamber Board of Directors at its March board meeting took a vote to support Measure A. So this is part of our economic development policy priority. This is part of our workforce development priority. And so I encourage all of you to look at this very carefully And I know it's confusing. Bond measures, that's infrastructure, parcel taxes is programs and people. And those things are important to us. So if there's any questions from anyone on that, I'd be happy to take them. But this is clearly looking at all of the elements. It's clear to us that this is something that the business community supports and the chamber supports.
Thanks, Dawn. Yeah. And yeah, thank you for your presentation today. It looks like we're ahead of schedule. So if it's okay with Dawn, I'd like to open up the floor. I know Zoom makes it difficult to do our usual networking that we have the opportunity to do in person. So if